Welcome, one and all. Welcome to Funkatopia, WTF. That's what Welcome to Funkatopia essentially is the acronym for. I don't have my mug. I normally have my coffee mug here. Today we obviously are wanting to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Ice Cream Castle, which happens on Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 is the 40th anniversary, which is just insane that it's already been 40 years. I was, 15, 16 at the time when I was watching this in the movie theater. It's unbelievable to me that it's been this long already. And I wanted to kind of focus on celebrating these artists that are rarely ever mentioned that were involved in this process and kind of get to know them a little bit. And one of the gentlemen that I have with me right now is the one and only Mark Cardenas. How are you, sir?
Hello. Fine. I'm great. Thank you.
So, I got to know, looking back on the fact that it was 40 years ago, does that even process to you from a time constraint?
No. Well, to pair the number with the date, and I just know it's like a long time ago, and then it's did you know it was 40 years? I go, oh, whoa, 40. It's a long time. I haven't talked to anybody about this.
Yeah, I know it.
But mostly nobody's asked me. There was Dwayne Tudor. I don't know who wrote the book.
Of course.
Yeah, he interviewed me on the phone, for his book.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, I get a call from him to say, I need a release from you so I can print in my book what you said. I go, oh yeah, forgot about that. And then, I said, you know what? Before I give you my approval, I'd like to see, I'd like to see what you said. I told you my quotes that you're going to use in my book. I said, okay. This is all by email, right? But that 10 minutes later, boom, back there is like 14, statements, he took from me. And I quickly looked them down. Yeah, it's close enough. That's good. I just didn't want him to say something that was like
was totally
off base, or something, or a lie or something. But it was good. And then a couple of months later, in my mail comes this hardback. But I go, wow, I actually did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a bunch of quotes from Funkatopia in his books too, because a lot of the interviews that we do, a lot of the interviews that I do, he uses as source information. He has access to my Google Drive, and he goes in and pulls down interviews all the time. So yeah, it's definitely an honor. And Dwayne Tudor is one of the real deal Prince biographers that's out there.
Obviously,
he only deals in facts, and
okay. Yeah.
Based on facts, that people say. There's nobody to conflict anything like this. So
it's a spoken history in many ways.
For those, there's a lot of people. So I'm going to kind of go back a little bit, because there's a lot of people that don't really fully understand who you are and what you have anything to do with the time. And just to kind of give a really short digest version, is that the time was originally, from the beginning, obviously Morris Day, Jerome, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Monte Moir, and Jelly Bean Johnson. And of course, the story goes that before they even got to being able to shoot the movie in Purple Rain, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis got stuck in a snowstorm here in Atlanta, matter of fact,
right.
and actually missed a show and were fired by Prince. And a couple people obviously, stepped away as well. Monty being one of them, just kind of said, all right, I need to kind of meld here. And you were brought in along with Paul Peterson and along with Jerry Hubbard to actually fill in the pieces that were missing from the time for both the movie Purple Rain and also for the cover of the time Ice Cream Castle album. So you're featured on, I mean, it's really kind of unusual because that is the only album that features that lineup of the time.
That was it.
That's it. Right? That's it. So tell me a little bit about, so now that those people that don't have any idea who you are, because of the fact you have not been properly celebrated, kind of fill in where, what you were doing at the time and how you were approached and how this all shook out.
Okay. First of all, I'm not from Minnesota. I moved to Minnesota. I was on a cover band tour of the East Coast with a college friend of mine, a drummer, and we quit that band after a couple of years and decided on visiting Minneapolis. We thought, this is a robust music scene here. I think, let's quit this band and just move here. And we had a couple of months saved up, for a rent. And we got a place there in off of Bloomington near Powderhorn Park. And we, it was above a corner grocery store. It was hot. And we just said, let's go out and find ourselves some gigs. So I went out and, just started looking around. There was what was that play, that magazine called the Sweet Potato, I think it is, or the local rag. What was that called? Yeah. And anyways, that was the only social media there was, back then.
Right. Yeah.
About 1983. So anyway, long story short, I'm playing around town with anybody who will hire me. Anything, any type of music. There was a local jazz, funk, R&B kind of a Grover Washington Jr., older guy, played with him, played at this Nakarima Club, which is American spelled backwards. And you don't know Rocky Harris. Rocky Harris was the original bass player that was hired to replace Jerry Hubbard. Came later. And if you want to hear that story, I can side note you, but we were shooting the film and he was late to the shoot and they let him go.
Wow. How late do you have to be to the shoot to get?
The call was like 5 a.m. Something ridiculous. So on this whole 15 passenger van is sitting in the Holiday Inn parking lot with Prince and Morris, the whole cast basically in the van. Prince goes, "Where's Rocky?" Everybody's looking at you. He says, "Can you get another bass player here?" And within an hour, there was another bass player, and Jerry Hubbard showed up, early in the morning, and that was the end of Rocky. We never heard from Rocky again, but that was rough, man.
Is Rocky still with us?
Rocky passed away. Yeah, Rocky is a great bass player, and I played with him. He was drummer. I was on tour with Jesse Johnson.
Yeah.
Anyways, Rocky played guitar in there. But anyway, Rocky told me that next morning that, hey, somebody from Prince or somebody showed up at the Nakarima Club and saw you, wants you to audition for The Time. And I'm like, who's The Time? I played many different kinds of music, and
they only had a couple albums.
I think I'm only one of the one of the select people in town that owned a Oberheim, which is Prince's weapon of choice back.
Right.
And I don't know why. I never heard why. I never, really talked to him about it. We were just so distant. Back then, nobody talked about anything, and you don't talk to Prince about anything. And it was just kind of weird, from my standpoint. I was 30 years old back then. No, I was 28, 29. I was 30 in 85. But so anyway, that's how I got the call. And, people are going, "Mark, this is your big break." And I'm going, okay. Really? Really? Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it would have stuck, but I think, part of the problem obviously was that, the time had really kind of established a pretty deep friendship with the guys that were there. And so Morris was feeling some sort of way, purportedly. And now I talked to Jerome about this a few weeks ago, and he was just like, no, he was professional. Everything was fine. I was like, I'm hearing so many conflicting stories about that, he was, not incredibly cordial because of the fact that,
he was very hands-on, I mean, he keeps an arm's length between us and the new guys. We were the new cats, right. and that's all we were. I mean, really. And we never knew if we were coming or going, really, honestly, because we weren't invited with open arms.
Yeah. Now, so
you guys are going to do this or you're fired, and it was just hanging over our head. I don't know, are we doing a good job? How are we doing anyway?
So you didn't get any feedback as you were going? I mean, was there any feedback from Prince or anybody?
Jesse Johnson was pretty much handling getting the band back together. Morris drop in occasionally, but we rarely saw him until several months down the road where we were able to play, these tunes. And of course, the first thing we did, he told us would do is learn all our old songs. And, in like a week or something like that. So, I dug in. I'm a literal musician. I wrote all the shit out,
Yeah.
Charted it, scored it. Here's my parts. Got my parts,
They did. I don't think they even did that.
No. This is the way I approach, doing
right.
Things, and that's the way I did. I'm not going to change, but they,
so was
okay. You learned all this stuff, yeah. Okay, when we tried these old songs, The Walk, the old catalog,
yeah.
Get It Up, all those tunes. We had to, we played them and parts of them. And he said, okay, now that you got all that down, forget all that. Here's your new song. It goes oh.
Yeah, doing Jungle Love, right?
All right. Okay. Oh. All right. All of a sudden, we're going do, and forever. We rehearsed a lot. We rehearsed every day for all summer and stuff, and we got that down. And then Prince comes in one morning and goes, "Damn, you guys are stomping," and we were. I was playing a lot more than I think Jimmy and Monte were. Both hands, two keyboards all the time. I mean, they did too, but I think we had a fatter sound. But anyways, it was stomping. It was stomping, quote, unquote. It was stomping.
Right. Well, I mean, because it was you and Paul Peterson that were both sharing the keyboard.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to be a fat sound because Paul is a monster as in his own right. So
right, and he just graduated from high school. He was 18.
I was going to say, when you were saying you were like 28, 29,
I wouldn't have his age.
You were the old guy on the stage.
Yeah, and then Rocky was there, and so Jerry missed him.
Oh, that's right. No, that's right. You said, yeah. Yeah, so that's really interesting to me because so was there any, obviously these are songs that were written by Prince, and so was Jesse pretty much steering? Now, just for the record, I do know that Jesse Johnson actually did share a demo tape that he had created by himself of Jungle Love that was pretty much the entire song, with the exception of like lyrics and a few other pieces, but it was like
tracks, yeah,
it was like all the tracks, but it still was put out as a Prince song. But I was like, I thought I remember Jesse pretty much putting that together. But the question was, that was a side note. The question really is like, so is it Jesse pretty much solely that's working with you the whole time, or does Prince have any input on any of your parts, or does he any involvement at all?
Prince would unannounced show up at the warehouse, and he would tweak our parts. Here, play this like this, or do it like this. It was, for me, it was phrasing, on a keyboard, so, and just all this, rip, all these new Minneapolis sound, was all new to me, and I'm just listening to it. I'm saying, oh, that's the shit right now. So,
yeah.
And then and then I watched him do it. So I said, oh, that's how you do it, which was a palm, with one hand, and then they play the chords up there. Anyways, that was that, and just changed a few parts here and there, but pretty much that was it. I mean, there really wasn't any, big things that we did. Maybe in arranging of the bird, there was a segue, and he had, the movie in mind, how we're gonna, start this song in the movie. And so, he came up with an intro and some other stuff that he wanted us to do in this live recording at First Avenue. That was in October of that year. And the record plant semi truck was parked on the side of the venue, and all these cables going. I go, well, what's going on? They're recording tonight. They are. Yeah, they are. So don't fuck up. And,
yeah, right.
All right. No problem.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we were dealing with, right? I mean, I was. I don't know what the other guys did. You show up backstage and ready for this big show, and I don't know any of these people. And then Prince shows up. Oh, hi, Prince. It was really, really weird, because you really didn't know how to approach him, or to talk to him, or
right.
He was very standoffish at the time,
So
and we were guys, we were trying to be, blend in, but
you guys never really had any type of like in-depth discussions, or just you didn't have any one-on-one time with him that you kind of felt that was a good.
The only one-on-one time I had with him was when he had this idea that I would be blackface in the movie.
What?
You didn't read about that?
I think I forgot this.
Beans here.
Was that in Dwayne's book? I got to reread some of his books.
That was one of the quotes he got from me, and this was me personally, but that everybody knew that he because I told him, what, Prince wants me to go like Al Jolson with them, and I go. And he said, Mark, you need an image, and stuff. You got to do something. And I'm going, I don't know. What am I going to change my hat or wear something stupid? Or he says, my keyboardist wears a scrub suit, and a surgical mask, and I said, I don't know. He says, anyways, he comes back the next day with a handful of makeup and stuff. So he says, so what you gonna do? I said, I'm not gonna be. I don't want to be famous. He said, you're gonna be famous. I said, I don't want to be famous for that. I'm sorry.
You're famous for the wrong reasons.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't even know if I said I'm sorry to Prince. Sorry, I can't. I can't do that. I just said I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. And after that, I never really, I don't think he ever looked at me after that. That was the look of death.
And I don't even think it's even he always would try to push the boundaries. And
I know. And I felt like, what? This is a real dumb idea. I couldn't say that.
It's not a good idea. No, not at all.
No.
No, even years later, even if you had done it, and then years later they would look back at it and be like, "Oh man, that Mark Cardenas he's a."
Remember that dude that was in blackface? Yeah, what was his name again?
Oh my gosh,
yeah, Mark something or other.
Let's talk about being canceled like super quick.
I kind of like the idea of I almost had to.
You couldn't even say it was Prince's idea. It was Prince's idea. It was like everybody was like, you should know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a whole thing for sure.
But aside from that, I mean, he knew. I mean, this music inside out. I really wasn't privy to the fact that everything he wrote, everything we played, he wrote. Talking to Matt Fink. Yeah, this was at a party or a reception or something. I just had to introduce myself and just like meet everybody who's there. And it's telling him, there's some great music on these old times recordings. He goes, oh yeah, I played all that. You did? Yeah.
Yeah.
All those solos in there? Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
Oh.
And it's always funny because some of the stuff that he comes up with, like for instance, the solo in When Doves Cry, was actually recorded in was half speed. Prince came up with the solo, but came up with
that little string line at the very end. Oh yeah.
And then he double timed it and then made Fink learn it twice
in real time
at the double time. And so that he could pull it off. And of course, Matt is very capable, so he was able to do it. But God, I mean, God forbid, I can't even imagine the amount of work you have to do to kind of, he goes.
I'll tell you a story. When the time came to Hollywood to shoot our video for Ice Cream Castle, we were in downtown Hollywood, and we were going to the site to shoot, I think. But my brother lives in Santa Monica, so I said I need a way to get around. He says I'll drop my Volkswagen bus off, and you can drive it around while you're in town. So this is like a hippie looking bus, but we needed to get to. Prince wanted to take us to the studio. I think it was Sunset Sound, and show us what he's doing with this song that they had to put in the song in the movie after all the music after the fact. So we all piled into my brother's van, and Prince is dressed like a pirate with those goggles on, like incognito. But we're driving down Sunset Boulevard, and Prince is riding shotgun in his Volkswagen Boss, and I'm driving. This is fucking great, man. Sitting next to me. Anyways, when we got to the studio, he had this whole studio set at the control room with tape loop going on, with where they loop the tape together and it's playing a loop on there, and he played us this track. And the first thing we said was, "Where's the bass line? There's no bass line on here." Okay. I mean, that was the first thing in my head is no bass line. Yeah. But then he showed me, watch this, and he's imitating, the parts when they come in, and then he's looking at me and he's doing this thing, as that line comes in, I'm going, oh shit. So that was kind of fun.
Were you like having a nightmare at the moment going, I hope he's not going to ask me to play that part?
No, I knew that was done. It was already done,
Yeah.
Part was played, so and it was his song, so I know his band was going to play it.
Yeah, well,
but we still weren't sure that we weren't going to be touring.
Right,
that was our big concern.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that. I think there were a lot of people were like, well, now that the movie's done, the time is played, and people, you got a bunch of new fans now. Being Prince and the time.
Right.
And people are going to want to spend more money to kind of absorb more of what you're doing. So yeah, go on tour. And I actually was very, very surprised that the time did not tour. But again, this was a scenario with, as you say, Jesse's trying to pull the, band back together to, I don't know. I mean, but it never happened. I don't think I saw them tour again until late 80s. It was quite a bit later. Before
after Graffiti Bridge and stuff with the what they called the original 7.
Oh, the original 7 was actually not too long ago. That was actually probably about a decade or so ago. And that was due to the fact that they wanted to create an album that didn't have Prince's involvement at all. And so when Prince heard that, and they had all these songs that didn't have Prince's involvement at all. He didn't write them, he didn't play on them, he didn't produce them or doing anything. He refused to let them use the name The Time, because he was like, The Time is my project. It's mine. It's my alter ego, pimp funk project, or whatever you want to call it. And this is what I'm doing. And so for you to kind of, take it and do this, without my involvement it's just not going to work. You can't have the name. And I can see it from that perspective. Just like, if you author a bunch of books and somebody wants to write another book and you're not involved, it's like, nope.
Yeah. But for all people concerned, it would have been a more successful thing if they would have tried to get all the guys that were originally in the band back in the band. And and the original would have been an entirely different thing. And I know that Jerome, Jellybean, and Jesse, at the time that we were rehearsing and stuff, they missed those guys a lot.
Oh yeah,
we were just the new cats, and we never got from them that we were doing a great job or anything. We weren't getting any feedback about anything. But I do know that if we weren't doing it, we wouldn't be there.
That's right. That's
correct. You know what I mean? I mean, it just had to, it had to sink in, that we're here, we're still here, so I guess we must,
Yeah. And so, and I know we're talking about the 40th anniversary of Ice Cream Castle, and we're talking about all the stories that kind of go along with that. But at that point in time, to kind of go down a little bit of a side road, Jesse says, "Hey, I just got signed to A&M. Like what you guys are doing." And if I remember the story correctly, he takes Jerry Hubbard and
Rocky, who missed. Jerry played bass. Rocky played drums. Rocky played bass with The Time.
Yeah. So tell me about that experience, because Jesse Johnson's Revue was legendary. I mean, even though, it was just such a legendary album. I mean, it was A&M definitely trying to take advantage of the, I guess the engine that Warner Brothers had created with Prince and the whole Purple Rain phenomenon, and him becoming a household name and everything. And anything that was tied to Prince or involved with Prince seemed to kind of just skyrocket at that time, if you could just market correctly. And A&M did a pretty good job at getting the Revue out there. So tell me about that experience, about joining up with Jesse.
After getting the bad news indirectly that we're not going on tour, although everybody there was really, really wishing that this is going to happen, but as we got further beyond the summer and things are like, nobody's calling the band. We show up to rehearsal every day and nobody else is there, and we're not doing anything, and management's not calling us, nothing. We're still getting our measly, weekly money that, they're per diem, not a per diem, but just a retainer, as we call it. And then, here comes a FedEx guy, and he, has a package for me, at my house. What's this? I don't know. Open it up. Oh, wow. It's a fucking gold record. And it's got my name on it.
Nice.
And like 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, the guy shows up again with another one. And this one's platinum. And I'm going, wow, this is fucking awesome. But,
is that what's hanging up behind you?
I'm liking, isn't there like some kind of ceremony that we have, and they're like photographs and paparazzi or something, like they're presenting you with a
Nope.
Nobody said nothing.
Yeah.
Same thing with the music to Ice Cream Castles. We were given a cassette. Here, learn this. Really? We already played the Bird and the Jungle Love. You know, we'd been playing for almost a year, practicing. You know, just fine. By the time we played that in our one and only concert at First Avenue, and that was the only concert I played with at the time. It was the only concert. Well, Jerry Hubbard, you know, is in the movie, but he didn't get to play in the time at all. He was after the fact. Yeah, Rocky just got erased, which is really sad, you know. Yeah, Rocky was a character, man. But you know, on top of everything, he was an amazing musician. By fact that, you know, play his ass off on the drums, play his ass off on bass.
Wow, that's cool. And so,
you know, we said, but it didn't even dawn on me that those two guys are in Jesse's band together. I go, I forgot about that. I forgot that, you know, you replaced him. You know, I mean, to be able to talk to Rocky about that. I wonder if he talked to anybody about that before he passed away, or everybody just, you know, I don't think the phrase was around there, but threw you under the bus back in 1990 or 1984, 83, 84. I remember hearing that phrase till like decades later, but he got thrown under the bus. I mean, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, and it happens a lot in the industry, and I know that, you know, Prince made his way through a lot of musicians, you know, just trying to find the right mix and the right market and everything. So, I mean, I get his thought process, but you know, it's like it's same note as like, you know, there's people attached to this, so you know, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. You know, and then it's like, and this is what Alan Leeds told me, you know, as managers, Prince's manager, and he would always show up. Like most of the time, he would show up, you know, at least drop in and see how we were doing. And he told us, you know, we were kicking ass, and he had some James Brown stories when he was manager James Brown and stuff. Yeah. That was kind of cool.
He's got some amazing stories.
He would, you know, he'd say, Mark, man, I know this shit is really tough on you, and you know, and you guys are going through shit right now, but just stick with it because, you know, this is going to really happen. You know, what you mean, like what? There's going to make a movie out of this, you know, and it's really happening, and it's going to happen, and you guys are going to be superstars, you know, when this comes out. And, you know, I'm skeptical. Okay.
And you were protected. Well, let's talk about that time though for a second. I know I was trying to get some information about, you know, Jesse Johnson's Revue, but now that you did state that, I want to step back here, because when the movie hit, you know, did you were you seeing somebody at the time? Were you married at the time? Did you bring him to?
I was married at the time.
Yeah. So did you go to the premiere in
yes. In Hollywood? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the premiere was something else. It was really good. There was a lot of people there that I didn't know that knew me, and that was kind of weird. I mean, one of the first persons I met, and I didn't know who the talking heads were, but I said, "Hi, I'm David Byrne. Love your music." You know, just like just passing like there. You know,
wow.
Okay. And then, you know, I forgot who said. You know who that was? I go, no, David. Talking heads, man.
Wow.
Oh, burning down a house.
So, I mean,
and I saw a whole bunch of other musicians that were there after the show, you know, after the, you know, there was a party, and then that's where Sheila E. played.
Right.
For the very first time. And where's this Sheila E? That's Sheila Escovedo. I guess they call her Sheila E now. You know, but
yeah.
That song was so on fire that night. I don't know. I mean, my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people shared it, but they smoked Prince's band, you know, on their night.
Oh,
you know, they had to follow Sheila E on that show, and they just slayed. They were so hot on fire, man. She was killing it. their band was killing it. They were stepping, and it was just amazing. They were just.
Sheila E. is still a monster to this day. She
was a monster before.
Oh,
I had her album.
Richie and all those guys. Yeah, she was.
Yeah. What? Sheila E. and Pete Escovedo.
Oh yeah, that's
those Latin records. I was into Latin jazz, so I knew who Sheila Escovedo, and she's only a kid, and she was on tour with George Duke, and also Lionel Richie.
Yep.
And
they're legends. I mean, they're legends.
And she was really young back then. I mean,
oh yeah. And she was starting to get a name for herself. So, I kind of get a little, and I've said this before. It's kind of get a little bit under my skin when people say, "Oh, Sheila E., Prince protege," and I was like, "No, time out." No.
20 years.
Yes, he gave her quite a boost, on the tail end of Purple Rain, and definitely gave her some notoriety and got her name out there and pushed her out for sure. Absolutely.
And that's who toured with her, him.
I think she would have been fine. I think she would have been fine.
So when we, of course she's touring with him. That's why she was playing there, but the sad part for me was, how come you guys can't just say something to us? Why are we in the dark? Why can't we just tell us, this is what's going on? You guys aren't on tour. There's some conflicts going on, or whatever the thing was. But it was, call the phone, say what's happening, and nobody answer.
Well, and I think that was part of the issue with the time when they had to revert to calling themselves the original Seven, was that there was just some issue with getting numbers straight and getting things straight with the touring. And that was the original Seven. That was the original members of the time from the first,
That's right.
They had, but Jesse Johnson stepped away because he was like, we were doing this again, where we've got an album to support. We've got interest. We can be hitting these places, and nobody's booking anything. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's talking. And he had D'Angelo knocking on his door saying, "Come play guitar for me." So he stepped out and he played guitar for D'Angelo on D'Angelo's tour. And so I don't think it had anything to do with you specifically. I think this is just one of those, that's the other thing too, is because Prince also had a lot of control over what the time could say and do and play and whatever else. So, there may have been that component too.
There was a gag order going on back then.
Oh, what was the gag order?
Especially with endorsements from companies.
Oh, I wasn't.
The only person had an endorsement was Jelly Bean with Pearl. But
wow.
Everything else was passed over.
Now, did he specifically say you can't take any more? You can't take any endorsements from it? Did he say it to you or everybody?
We were forbidden.
From who? Alan?
From Alan, from Prince, like you can't. Oh yeah, whatever you do. Oh, that was another thing, is whatever you do not talk about Prince. Do not talk about the time. Do not talk about anything while you're on the set. Just nothing. You can't say shit about anybody, anything. And and reporters were there. They're asking us. I can't talk about that. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And back then it was like, or else I'll get fired. And so that was just, I don't know. I thought my image was like, is this the big time? Are we in the big time? Is that what they do? Don't we get a car or something? A signing bonus or something? In there.
All right, but so let's go back to the movie though for a second. After the movie is out and is now being seen around the world, did you have any notoriety? Were you riding any type of notoriety after that? I mean, I know you're kind of you don't have any speaking parts. You're kind of a background character. You're kind of, you're just kind of in the background. But did you still receive any type of acknowledgement or notoriety as a result?
No, nobody knew I was in the time unless they showed up at First Avenue that night. We recorded. and
Wow.
then they were like close, close to the band, personally. Everybody would know, but the picture from the album was a poster that they made, that the record company Warner Brothers made. That that was the only promotional thing I ever saw, and I hardly even seen it in any of the record stores.
And
But I wanted one for my house, so I stopped by their office when I was in Hollywood and said, I want a stack of those. They gave me a tube and they filled it up with those posters, and I gave them all to my family and stuff. And anybody else, who I had,
well, so, and I was trying. Let me see if I can.
There was another thing. Is the Minneapolis Tribune, is their local paper. I forgot. John Bream was the music writer for them.
He had a love-hate relationship.
Bream makes an announcement of the new members of the time, and he got my name wrong.
Oh, did he spell it wrong, or what did he say?
No, I think he just had like my last name was Carter or something like that. And I was in here frantically reading this, this ad about the time in the paper, and I go, and the new members are Paul Peterson and Mark. What?
Oh no.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was like all these downers, kept happening, and you go, wow,
Oh my God.
we're like, so we were like,
So that's you between.
we're the illegitimate children of the time, these couple of guys.
So that's you in between Jelly Bean and Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you, all dapper.
Yeah, I had our the same guy who did Prince's costumes, did our I forgot those guys' names, but made our suits.
Look at you, Mr. Carter.
I had to find that that article in there. But, it was just, and then I always wanted to write them back, right? Like, cuss them out or something. But
yeah, you can't, even if you do a correction, doesn't even make a difference, because then it shows up in like next week's paper and it's a footnote and it doesn't matter.
Exactly. It's done. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah, I had that happen. I mean, never, not with my name, but remember I told you that one of Prince's final tweets on Twitter was tweeting about Funkatopia like a week before he died. And who was it? Was it USA Today covered Prince's final days?
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and so they were talking about the days, and they got to the day that he tweeted, and it says Prince talks about his the review of his final shows in Atlanta, which I had seen both of, and I had wrote a review.
That was his last shows then.
Yes, it was. I was at both of them.
Oh wow.
And it says Prince talks about a review on the site Funktopia, and they leave the A out of the middle. And instead of Funkatopia, it was Funktopia.
Oh,
and I was just like, but at least the link was right.
Change the name of your organization.
So the link was right. So it was like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. As long as the link's right. I have a link from USA Today that's pointing to the website. That's great SEO. So I'll take it. So,
but, I mean, other note is we laughed a lot, as a time at rehearsals. We had some fun times together. There was a mountain of boxes of fan mail that wasn't even opened yet, or opened, and the $20 checks were removed out of there, and a lot of them had their photos in there, and a lot of them were most of them were girls, but the other guys had so much fun opening up the letter, and they would have these Polaroid pictures. Some of them were naked and some of them were just gross. But when they did, we'd show the picture of the girl who was in love with Jesse Johnson, and we'd be cracking up. And then they had so many stories, about their early tours.
Wow,
that was very entertaining, and we were there and we were listening to that, and Paul and Rocky and I, and we never missed a rehearsal or anything, but a lot of times we spent entire afternoon there just opening up these things. And then we started getting letters from guys that had their lawyer that wanted to sue us because they never got their poster and souvenir comb and an 8x10 glossy of the time.
Oh, yeah, a souvenir.
Boxes of them, you know.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know they had a souvenir comb. I wish. The coolest thing I ever got.
It said Morris Day on one side, and it said what time is it on the other.
Oh my god, the coolest thing I ever got that I ever collected from the time was this right here, which was the Pandemonium from the 1999 Pandemonium album, which was actually the time
clock.
It actually has the CD and book. So the CD is actually inside, but it's,
okay. Oh, what time? The time with a digital clock. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually really cool.
That was like a collector's item.
Yeah, it is. It was, and so I don't see those around much, and yeah, so that's probably one of the cooler things that I've collected. But yeah, I mean, I got the original promo kit from the first album that actually had the promo shot with the original members, and it had the whole marketing thing from Warner Brothers. I have it framed up on the wall.
Oh.
But yeah, so I mean, I love the time, and I know that people are going to kill me for not digging deeper into the Jesse Johnson's Revue story, but I'm gonna have you back on the show so that we can really talk about that in depth, because I don't want to muddy up the interview with a bunch of stuff, and I want to get you back and talk about Jesse Johnson.
Yeah.
So just know for you folks that are listening, we will have him back on, and we will get back into the Jesse Johnson stuff, because there's a bunch of stories there. I know. Well, let me just say it's an honor to have you on the show, Mark. I know. So before we go though, before I let you go, please tell everybody what you're doing now. If people want to come see you and check out what you're doing, but tell people where they can find out more information about you and where they can come see you live.
I don't have a website. I don't have that. I have a band that we released a 6-song album, and looking out for 206 Rib Shack Orchestra is our funk band. And
what is that an area code? Is that what that is? What's
206 is Seattle? Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll send you some promo shit about it, and some music too. I mean, one song I co-wrote like for the time. And it's called Sauce on My Bone, and the music's all about, it's all integrated with barbecue and
right.
And I mean, a song in there called Flapjack Love, I mean, and this is total funk, in the way of the time, in the way of Tower of Power, but it's just a 5-piece band, but we have so much fun playing. It's so, great players in the band, great singer, everybody, and we're all friends, and we're launching that after 20 years. We recorded it 20 years on 2-inch tape, and finally, mastered it and released it. 6 songs on vinyl. Just vinyl.
On vinyl?
On vinyl. That's all we had. Made 500 copies on vinyl.
Wow, that's cool. Any specific color or just black, regular vinyl?
No. It's see-through red.
Okay, you have to tell me where can people get that? Is there?
You got to come to me. You got to come to Seattle.
Oh my gosh!
I think we're gonna sell them all out, and then we're gonna, because it was made so quickly. I mean,
I'm just gonna have to text you my address and Venmo you.
Do that, and I'll send you a copy. Actually, I'll send you a record, man. I would love
that. And you're also playing with your daughter off and on too, right?
Yeah, this is the Songcatchers. We were on A&M Records back in 1994. We toured with the Neville Brothers nationally.
Nice.
Did a short tour with Peter Gabriel in the WOMAD tour.
Oh, wow!
And then we played very many small venues. We played reservations. We played way out in the boonies on the East Coast. And then kind of took a hiatus, and then now we rehearsed and stuff, and our record is famous, and we were like the only. It's a hybrid music of New York Times called it a conversation between Native American music and popular American music. And they didn't want to like post anything. I mean, it's not all Native American, but it's definitely, you have to hear it. I just, you know.
Okay.
Anyway, among other things, I've got some, I mean, I'm a utilitarian musician. You know, I'll call, and people calling me always for, you know, session work and this and that. And, yeah, so that's, you know, I'm trying to stay busy. I'm turning 60. I turned 69, you know, I retired, you know, I was a carpenter for 20 years and
Wow. That's unbelievable. Well, I am just,
lost my thumb.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
Slow me down, man.
it doesn't affect your playing, apparently. You figured that just adds percussion. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's an honor to have you again as one of the members of the time during the Purple Rain and also Ice Cream Castle. And it was just an honor to actually get an opportunity to meet you, find out a little bit about your background and about that era. And ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a warm round of applause for Mark Cardenas. How are you, man?
Thank you for listening, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.